And then later, we talk about brick workouts. You ask for more dogs in the vlogs, you get more dogs in the vlogs. Most beneficial workout that you can possibly... Hold up. How deep can we go? Morning, Trainiacs. So it is 7:52 and I'm just headed off to Chris's place. And we're getting together to do the baddest ass of all badass triathlon workouts. The biggest, the best, the most specific workout that you can possibly do. We're doing a brick workout. I'm not in the mood to do a brick workout, but because we're transitioning back into being triathlon Taren and not just swimming Taren, I gotta start getting some brick workouts in. And this brick workout that we always do with Chris is just a blazing fast ride. And then what he likes doing is like a 2K run at breakneck throw up, no talking speed, and see how long you can hang on for. I'm still not fully recovered from the long swim, not even close. So we're gonna do what we can. And then later, we talk about brick workouts. Because that's how this works. I work out, we chat, you get faster, I get faster, everybody gets faster. Hey, Trainiacs, brick workouts. You gotta get to know them and you gotta get to love them. A brick workout is where you do one discipline followed by the next. So it might be a swim and then a bike, or a bike and a run. A bike and a run is probably a lot more important than a swim and then a bike. Brick workouts are hands down the most specific, most beneficial workout that you can possibly do in triathlon. And the reason that it's so important is because when you're doing the individual sports themselves, you're not simulating what a race is going to be like. So you might be doing, say, a 2,000 or 3,000 meter swim workout, but that isn't necessarily going to be the pace that you want to do in a race because you got two other sports to worry about after. Same with the bike. You can go and crush a 40K bike thinking that you're simulating the Olympic distance bike portion of a race, but you've got to run after in a race. Having those specific workouts where you're stacking one sport on top of the other, it gives you a good sense of what your pace needs to be during the race. In addition to that, the rerouting of blood flow from parts of your body that are functioning for one discipline to the next is completely different. When you're on a bike, you're not holding up your own body weight. There's a fair bit of pressure on your arms and you're sitting. And then all of a sudden you gotta go on the run and hold up your entire body weight. So there is a really quick rerouting of blood flow that needs to happen. And if you haven't trained your body how to do that, you are all of a sudden gonna lock up, and right off the start of transition 2 going into the run, you're gonna be in a lot of pain. What you wanna do is you wanna do as many brick workouts as you can possibly get in, and what's going to happen is the more you do that, the more your body is going to be able to run, bike, swim at a pace that is closer to your individual paces when you're not in a race, if that makes sense. You can race at a pace that's closer to your flat out personal best. That out of the way. Do brick workouts. Do lots of them. At least 6 to 12 before your first race, so you get a sense of what it's gonna be like when you get into that first race. Now there are 2 brick workouts that you can do. One is bike specific, one is run specific. As you start getting closer to a race, you can do your bike specific workout that is basically your full regular bike workout, but you're doing a short run after. Vice versa, on your run specific brick workout, you're doing your full run of what you do on a long run day, but doing maybe a 20-minute bike beforehand just to get your legs in the habit of going from the bike to the run. You're not really shortening those days, you still need that volume. You're just kind of adding a little bit of movement in the other discipline before or after. How you pace that run is pretty specific to what distance you're doing though. If you are doing a sprint specifically, you want to be training your body to get in the habit of bam, going out at max effort as soon as possible. Because you only got 5K on the sprint, so you want to be doing a run off of a bike that is like what we did today, 2.5K, blazing fast. When you start getting into Olympics, half Ironmans, and Ironmans, pacing is a much bigger factor. So if you're going out and you're training your body to hammer it as soon as you get on the run, you're not going to be training your body in a way that mimics what you're going to be doing in a race. So when you start getting into those longer distances and you get out into your brick workout, make sure that you're actually holding your pace. This is a very important thing that I actually got caught on in Campeche. We did all of our training in brick workouts for me to hold my ideal race pace of about 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Very steady, very easy, felt good in training, went out there, crowd was going wild, and I did 4:01 per kilometer for the first 5K and blew up for the next 16K. Good job, Taren. What you want to really focus on is getting out onto the run and holding yourself back, dialing it back, taking it easy, and easing in to race pace. One little hack that you can do if you are short on time and you can't get a ton of brick workouts in is do a workout that maybe is an hour to 2 hours long, where you're going from a bike trainer to a treadmill, bike trainer to treadmill, bike trainer to treadmill, bike trainer to treadmill, over and over 5 or 6 times. And that's gonna get you in the habit of knowing how to turn your legs over and reroute that blood flow really quickly. Hacks, baby, hacks. Yeah, do tons of brick workouts. Chris, who I did a brick workout with today, by the way, this is the second time in all of history that I beat him on the run. I'm kind of catching him at a low time because this is the end of pool season and he's been working 70-hour weeks for 10 weeks. But we aren't going to talk about that. Chris runs after every single bike that he does, and he's able to put in a 1:06 sprint triathlon time with maybe about 7 to 10 hour weeks. Do lots of bricks. You know, every time that I put, hey, Gracie and Petey in the vlogs, people are like, more Gracie and Petey in the vlogs, which I don't blame you for. I mean, they're good dogs. Grace, what do you say? Pete? Huh? Done? Done. There you go. You ask for more dogs in the vlogs, you get more dogs in the vlogs. Let's go watch La Tour. There, Trainiacs.